Hey, it's Jordan. Delighted to be joined by Ben Douglas. Ben, you and other UPS workers have been dealing with unjust firings, retaliations due to union activity. UPS workers definitely have been in the news over the year. Obviously, over the years, we know about privatization attempts of the post office, etc. But can you kind of talk about your experience recently because you were retaliated against for organizing?
Yeah, sure. Hi, thanks. I'm Ben Douglas. Yeah, I mean, I think, like you said, the UPS has been in the news, particularly about the issues of safety and the drivers that have died or collapsed as a result of unsafe, overheated trucks, and unsafe, overheated warehouses as well. But I think what people don't necessarily realize is that UPS, there's a rampant culture of retaliation against any kind of shop floor activism and union stewards. What I've experienced is really just sort of par for the course at UPS. My shop steward, my business agent, my president of the local, all of them have faced attempts to fire them, to discharge them. They've all been walked out of the buildings with unfair discipline in the past. So what happened with me is really it's in line with UPS policies that they try and grind down activists and demoralize people and scare people. And so I've been active in the union for the last, I don't know, year and a half. I've been at the company about 2 years, and I took up with some coworkers. We took up the fight for safety, dealing with COVID, asking for on-site testing, temperature checks, better social distancing, things that were really lacking and still are lacking. And then we've had a lot of different fights over seniority, over management harassment. And as I've gotten more active in the union and more active with my coworkers, management has come after me more. So about a week ago, yeah, 1 week ago today, they walked me out for a whole variety of very flimsy and unfounded charges. I can't really go into all the details of those, but it's par for the course at UPS. And so we're trying to fight back and challenge that culture of intimidation.
And can you kind of talk about, because all this has been going on kind of in the broader context of a contract fight? Obviously, I've seen it with GM, other workers that over the years, they've been demanding that, workers give back and give back and give more and more back in contract demands, whether it be benefits, pay. Can you kind of talk about what have been the main sticking points as far as contract and what has been UPS's, offers over in recent years that are not sufficient for workers?
Yeah, well, I think that UPS workers, like a lot of workers in this country and a lot of workers around the world, actually have been dealing with deteriorating living conditions and concessionary uh, contracts over the last decades. So, at least I'll just speak about the last contract. This is before I started at UPS, but the 2018 contract was the first contract that sort of solidified and created a two-tier system of drivers, where there's 22.4 drivers, combination drivers like myself, who basically do the same job as what we call RPCDs, regular package car drivers. But we get a lower pay rate. We have fewer benefits. We have less or no protection from forced overtime. And that's one of the major issues in this contract fight, is getting rid of that 22.4 clause that creates a two-tier system. But there's a whole variety of different reasons that UPS workers are angry and want a militant fight against UPS, this contract. Inside workers who are mostly part-time, the people that load the trucks, the people that sort the packages on the conveyor belts, they are drastically underpaid and really abused by the company. We're dealing with people making, $15, $16 an hour, and with oftentimes only part-time hours and really no path to advancement, no path to a living wage, or even full-time work. So the fight for the part-time workers at UPS is also central to this contract fight. And part-time workers make up over 50% of UPS employees in this country. So that's really essential. And then I guess like one other thing I would say is the fight for safety is a life and death question. There was I think the president of Local 623, Richard Hooker, just posted on Facebook that there was a brother, I believe a brother that died in Philly yesterday. There's obviously the case of Esteban Chavez Jr., the UPS driver in California, who passed away in the heat wave. There's a lot of issues with safety that really need to be addressed. So those are some of the issues that we're dealing with and that we want to address in the upcoming contract fight.
I wanted to show this tweet. 3 summers ago, I bought a thermometer to check the heat in the back of my truck. The first day I used it, it maxed out at 127 degrees in the back. The thermometer couldn't read higher than 127. It was unbearable. No AC, no fans, not even proper ventilation. So that was 3 years ago. I mean, imagine if you're driving around in these recent heat waves this summer. I mean, that's very, very dangerous and could be a matter of life or death.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, just in my center last summer, at least a couple drivers went to the emergency room from heat-related illness, and I believe a couple have gone to the hospital this year as well. I'm not sure the exact number, but no, it's a crime that is being exposed and urgently needs to be addressed. The workers being put in harm's way for pure callous, profit motives. Nothing more than that. UPS actually buys their trucks they have the option of including the air conditioner in the trucks that they buy. I think it would cost less than $200 per truck to have the AC installed. They choose not to because they believe that UPS workers will be less efficient if we have AC. Whether or not that's true, I have no idea, but it's a crime against the working class to put people in unsafe, overheated conditions where they're constantly pushed to deliver more packages, where we don't have sufficient bathroom or cooling off or hydration breaks. And I think it really shows that the company has no regard for its workforce, that the air conditioning as a technology has existed for, 70 years, and UPS has never seen fit to install it. Even many of the package cars don't have basic fans. It's actually something in our contract that workers are supposed to be able to request a fan and have it installed. Many of the package cars don't even have that. So I think we can say that workers are seeing the truth, that the bosses have no regard for our safety, for our health, and that a lot of UPS workers are fed up, including myself.
What's really amazing about it is UPS had its like a record-breaking year last year in profits. I mean, I'm just looking at it during the first 9 months of 2021. UPS generated more operating profit than any full year in its history. Company's operating profit rose to $2.9 billion in the third quarter, up 22.6%. 2021, UPS has earned $8.9 billion in operating income, up 58%. Meanwhile, people are, near collapse in their trucks. I mean, it's not anything new, but it just kind of shows you just the utter immoral greed of companies like this.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think you said it really well. UPS has been around for over 100 years. It's a very old company. And I believe that it's always been a profitable company. I don't know of any years that they've taken a loss, at least not in recent decades. And they, year after year, the profit margins have gone up. The workforce has gone up. The number of packages that are delivered through UPS has gone up. UPS owns air fleet. They own something like 100 airplanes, and then they lease many, many more. So UPS is a multi-billion-dollar international company that has, the world at its fingertips, but they treat its workforce very poorly. And they could afford to give part-time workers a raise. They could afford to install air conditioning in the package cars. They could afford to do a lot of things, but I think that they have not been checked by the labor movement in too long. And the last national strike, I think the only national strike against UPS was in 1997. And at that point, there were 180,000 UPS workers. So that strike was itself, at that point in the 90s, one of the largest major labor struggles of that era. Today, the UPS workforce has approximately 340 unionized employees, as well as a broader workforce of management. So the prospect of a potential UPS strike next year is monumental.
And last question, kind of what's the next steps? I know you're trying to get, reinstated in your job, some others who were wrongly terminated, and there's organizing going on. What's happening right now as far as the union organizing for a better contract?
Well, just about we're having a defense campaign in my local in New York City to challenge the culture of retaliation and demand that all of the workers that have been discharged be reinstated without conditions with full back pay. So that includes not only myself, but also Rob Becker, Dan Arlen, another brother from Massachusetts who's spoken out about being unjustly fired as well. And we want to destroy the culture of fear, which keeps workers scared to speak out. That's what the company wants, is to instill a culture of fear so that we're not self-confident enough to strike if we need to. And yeah, I think that there's a lot of momentum, and I hope that over the next year there's increased activism, that members start seeing themselves as political actors, that we have a lot of power. We move 6% of American GDP. We move 2% of world GDP. We've got 1/3 workers in the Teamsters just at UPS. So, we have the power to change society, and we have the power to improve our lives if we really organize and unite in solidarity.
Thanks, Ben Douglas. Appreciate it. Let's keep in touch as things develop.
All right. Thank you very much, Jordan.
Take care. Thanks for watching, and make sure to tune in to Status Coup's daily live stream Monday through Thursday at 5 o'clock Eastern Time and Fridays at 4 o'clock Eastern Time.